then Nation Builder happens to be one of the very best that you can use. So I will pause right now and unmute everybody. Any questions that people want to have answered going into the instruction? Any questions at all? The floor is open. Well, I don't hear anybody speaking up. Now, you can unmute yourself during the instruction. There's a tray that you can pull out from the side or the top or the bottom, or maybe it's already on your screen. Look around and look for this microphone. I'm going to mute myself here. Muted, that microphone will be red. You can just tap or click that microphone, unmute yourself, and you'll be more than welcome to ask a question. The big Nation Builder advance that's come across this past week, I did mention it last week, but I want to mention it to you again, is this right here. All Nation Builder sites have gone secure. They announced that. Now, there's a way, if you find a page that's not secure on your website, please contact Nation Builder support and they'll be able to help you remedy it. But for the most part, Nation Builder sent out an email this week. 99.99% of their websites have gone secure. So that's a good thing. That's going to make your visitors feel more secure. And better than that, it's going to help you with PageRank in Google search returns. Google does give more page authority to sites that are secure. So that's a good thing, good news for all Nation Builder users. I'm going to recommend that I don't have an example to place on the screen for you, but I'm going to recommend that you put a Refer Me to Campaigns checkbox on your volunteer page if you're a county GOP site. The reason for that is, you know, I used to be a chair myself, and I know that sometimes the GOP counties can be treated kind of like the red-haired stepchild of political parties and campaigning. However, if you're able to refer some of your volunteers to the campaign, that can really help you make friends with the people running the campaign. So do definitely put a Refer Me to Campaigns that Need Volunteers checkbox on your volunteer page. Then at campaign time, you'll have a core of volunteers that you can refer to the various campaigns. Now, let's talk about calendar tricks to drive RSVPs. We're going to take a look at the Republican Party of Del Norte County in California, which is a party that we're good friends with. They're great people up there in Del Norte County. And we're looking at one of their events on the screen here. Now, sometimes there's a little trick. We have digital reasons, and sometimes we have social reasons for wanting people to use the RSVP button on our events or our calendar page. Now, it's a little bit hard to put RSVPs on a WordPress site, but they're built in to the Nation Builder site. And if I scroll down just a little bit here, this particular event happens to have a purchase tickets page. So instead of an RSVP, because they want you to buy tickets, and that's a good thing. Normally, this would be an RSVP button. And the trick that we've used in the past on many, many events to force people to RSVP is to simply omit the address of the event. And instead of publishing the address of the event, you know, many people can simply take note of an event and show up without RSVPing. And you know, those of us who have been around for a while know that maybe that's a little bit impolite socially to do it, but you know, we live in a digital age, and people just note the address and the time and the place, and they say, I'm going to be there, and they don't RSVP. Well, you can force them to RSVP by simply leaving out the location in your public description of the event. Instead, simply say you'll get the address of the location in your RSVP email. That forces people to RSVP to find out exactly where the event is being held. So that can be a good thing for you. That's just a little tip that I wanted to share, and I hope that tip is useful to everybody. Let's go back to our agenda. What's next? Oh yes, show and tell on email and web pages. The most frequent question I always get in the most frequent question I always get in doing instructions with counties and campaigns is, how do I do a link? How do I insert an image into an email? And actually, it's very easy. You just need to know a little bit about what to do. Now, I'm actually preparing next week's email right here on the screen that you see right now. Next email announcing our regular Thursday webinar. And I want to point out a little bit about this editor first, because this editor has something in common with both WordPress and with Nation Builder. It's called the Tiny MCE editor, and it's the same editor that's used in WordPress. It's used in Nation Builder. It's used in, I believe it's still used in MailChimp, and I know it's used in Constant Contact. So all these different resources that different counties and campaigns may be using to edit their emails or edit their web pages, a lot of these editors have one thing in common, and that's that it's actually the very same editor being used in all these different places. Again, it's called the Tiny MCE editor, and one of the great things about this editor is that if you don't know what a button is going to do, you can simply hover over the button and it will tell you what the button's going to do. You see those little pop-ups coming up as I roll across these different buttons? For instance, if I had some text highlighted and I wanted to make that bold, I could go over here. Yep, the pop-up says that that's going to make it bold, and so I'll click that, and that'll make my text over there bold. By the way, the button will stay pressed if you're on something that has that particular property. So if I'm on something that's bolded, my bold button comes on. So I'm going to unbold that because I don't want it bolded. I was just doing that for an example. So I want to make this part right here a link. Now, let's stop and let's talk about a practice that I see a lot in emails, and this is a practice that is really hurting people that want to send their emails. I'll show you why. Now, of course, I'm going to want to link to the get.io Nation Builder for Training GOP homepage. And what I tend to do is I will always copy the address up here in the address bar. I will always copy the address so I don't misspell it, because I misspell just as much as anybody else, and I don't want a misspelling to get into my email, especially if it's linked, because if I get one letter wrong, I just gave them a bad link. Now, here's what a lot of people do. They paste in the raw URL just like that, and they turn it into a link. Now, how will that hurt me? Well, that's going to hurt me very badly. Let me show you why. Let me pull over my email reader just a moment here. Now, what I just put in there is called a raw link, and it's a bad practice. Let me show you why. I'm going to put my email reader on the screen here, and I'm going to go to this email that I received the other day from the Republican Party of Pennsylvania, and look right here. It says, this message may be a scam. That's going to scare people. What's going to scare people worse is the message that comes up if I click on one of their links. I click, and I get this email scam alert message that pops up and says, Thunderbird thinks this message is a scam. The links in the message may be trying to impersonate web pages you want to visit. Are you sure you want to visit the action.pennsylvaniagop.org? And I could click yes and go ahead and go there. I'm not gonna follow that link, but that's what happens if you put a raw link in the email. And you see down here, they've actually done what I'm encouraging you not to do, is they put a raw link in their email. Now, what produced that spam message? Well, even though you and I both know that we coded this link to be exactly what the link says, I can open that up and I can say, yep, it's coded to go to that. It's coded to go to that same web address that we're publishing on the page. The only thing is with all mass emails services, the one in Nation Builder and the one in MailChimp and the one in constant contact and eye contact and all of these massive emails, they will take your link and they will turn it into a tracking link so that what you're seeing here on the screen, the web address that you're seeing here on the screen, and the web address that they will change this to so that they can track and tell you how many links were clicked on in that email, those links will no longer match. And it's the same thing with this link down here. Be sure and Nation Builder puts this link in automatically. Be sure and take that link out. I would do it every time. Be sure and take that link out because using links like this will get your email identified as spam. So I never use a raw link. I always use a text link. So this is what I want to be my text link right here. So I'm going to highlight the text that I want to turn into a link. I'm just going to highlight it first. Then I'm going to go to my target page, and I'm actually going to copy the web address from right up here. That's the actual web address. And just so I don't misspell anything, because I don't want to misspell a link, golly, I click the Insert Edit Link, and I paste the link there where it's asking for the URL. And you see it's actually displaying the text that's going to display for the link. Now you can add a title, which will produce a pop-up, so I can say, click here to go to training. And then if I hover over the link, this is the text that will pop up. And then just in case they're using their web browser to read their mail, I don't want them to lose their place in their email reader. So I'm going to say pop the link open in a new window. And that way they can be reading my email in their browser if they're using Gmail or something like that. And they can click on the link and it will open a new window as opposed to leaving the email and taking them to the website. So that's really the proper way to do the link. The other way we can do it is if I haven't highlighted anything, then I can still go ahead and pop that up. I know the proper web address is still on my clipboard, so I'm just going to paste it. And then I can type the text for the link right here. And let's get our cases correct. We still always want to choose a new window. And then when I click OK, the text, well, it did it backwards. I sure don't want that. Let's change the text. There we go. Now it's displaying the text I wanted it to display. And so I'm going to take that out because I have a link right before it. So that's the proper way to code a link into your emails or into your web pages. It's the same editor here in Nation Builder. It's the same editor that's used for editing web pages and for editing emails. That's also the same in WordPress. So you can rely on that. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. And you'll see in the new WordPress editor, we actually have a preview right below. So that was one of the things a lot of people objected to about Nation Builder is you had to actually go to a different page to see your preview. This is probably what's going to bring a lot of people from MailChimp back to Nation Builder for their mass emails, is now I have a full preview available to me on the page. Now I do have to hit the save button before what I typed up here is visible down here in the preview. But it's very nice to have the preview available on the same page. Now, let's talk about how to embed an image. First, before I embed an image, I'm going to click so that my cursor is at the beginning of a paragraph, because I know I'm going to align in an email. I know I'm going to right align all of my images, so they're over here on the right, and I'm going to flow my text around the image so that we don't have to require someone to scroll past an image to continue reading our text. And I'll do that when I do that right alignment. I'm going to do that with this button right here, right align. It says align right. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put my cursor right there at the beginning of the paragraph, and then I'll hit the image button right here, and I'll insert an image. Now, this is also new to Nation Builder, and it's a very nice feature. I don't need to go up here and upload a file first like we used to have to do and go to Files and upload an image. I now have an upload dialog right here in my Edit Image dialog. So I can click on that and I can browse for an image. And let's see here. I'll go to my desktop and I'll go to my Get.io and I'll put in a picture of a convention. And so this is going to display bigger than I want to in my email, but I'll wait and I'll do that visually. Now, one thing I do want is I want to go into Advanced and I want to type in horizontal space of 25 pixels. And when I move my cursor up here into Style, you're going to see that it gives me two definitions here, margin right and margin left. Well, I'm going to slam that picture right up against the right margin, so I don't need a margin on the right. I'm going to delete that, and I'm just going to go with the margin left, which is going to put a 25 pixel margin to the left of my picture, and that's where I'm flowing the text. I do not want the text to jam right up against my picture. So I'm putting a 25 pixel margin there. Go back to General. Do I want an image description or a title? I'll just put GOP convention. I hope that was a GOP convention. And that's what we'll get if somebody hovers over the image. And I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then I'm going to right align that image. Now that image is way too big, so I'm going to grab corner. You see the little tiny box in the corner up there? I can drag that. So I'm clicking on it. I'm holding my mouse button down, and I'm dragging it down toward the center. I'll probably have to do this more than once. So now I'm dropping it, and we can see how we did. Okay, now I've got text flowing to the left, which is the way I want. But I still want that image smaller. I want it much, much smaller. Now, I know that in my email template down here, I know in my email template that this is 600 pixels wide. So I want it less than half of that, obviously. So let's make it. Now, if you look right here as I grab it, as I click down and hold it, and I start to drag it, it's telling me right there, it's telling me how wide my image is. It's saying it's 567 pixels by 319. So I want that to be less than 300 pixels. So I'm probably going to take it down to about 250. There we go, 249 pixels. So that's probably more the way I want it. And you see the text is flowing nicely to the left, and I don't have to put text above and below it. I can flow the text around this picture since I clicked that Align Right button right there. So let's save it and see how it looks in our preview. Okay, we've got a nice picture of the GOP convention, and you see I get the pop-up where up here, let's take a look at that again, where I typed GOP convention down here in the image title. When I hover over it, it pops up and says GOP convention. So that's what I want. So my email is starting to come together pretty nicely. The image is not too big, as we see down here in the preview. So I'm going to hit save, and I can go ahead and continue editing, or I can just go ahead and send this email as is. I'm not going to send it, of course, right now because I'm going to wait till next Thursday to send this email to you. We can definitely stop right here because this is pretty complete. So we inserted an image, and we also showed you how to do a link. So that's pretty comprehensive. It's pretty nice to have. It's a pretty good deal to be able to do that easily. So let's move on to, let's see, what's next on the agenda. Reward what you want more of. Boy, you guys have seen me going crazy about this, but, you know, I snuck in on a Democrat meeting a little while back. I do some operating from time to time, and sometimes I check in and see what the Democrats are up to. And what I discovered they're doing is something that we're not doing. That I've never been to a GOP meeting, and I've been to a lot of them. where the county chair or the state chair said, hey, you know what, we want you people engaged in social media activity. The Democrats will actually launch a complete digital activist campaign, and they will make a full court press asking people to get involved in digital activism. So, you know, as conservatives, I think we had thought in the past that Democrats are just good at this, and that's why Democrats seem to get all the social media activity, and we don't get it. But what's actually happening is they're actually asking their people to do it, and they're rewarding their people, and they're recognizing their people in meetings and stuff like that. So I think it's a good idea if our GOP leaders, you know, actually call attention to our leaderboards, you know, at the monthly meeting. You don't have to give out prizes or anything like that, but just recognize the top 5 people on your social media leaderboard. And those leaderboards are not just available in Nation Builder. You can also get plugins for WordPress to do social media leaderboards. They're not hard to do. I think our committee chairs should seriously consider recognizing at every monthly meeting the top people on their social media leaderboard. And then maybe quarterly, at least at the beginning for the first couple of years that you're trying to stimulate digital and social media activity, consider investing a little tiny bit of money in quarterly prizes for people who are consistently leading the digital effort. I'm going to go to Amazon.com here and show you something. And I'm just going to search on Android Fire. I bought one of these for $30. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, let's say tablet, because we're getting lots of accessories here. There we go. Now, I probably won't have to scroll down very far before I find an Android Fire tablet for about $40 or $50. That's a case. Let's tell it we don't want to see cases. Okay, yeah, you don't want to spend $129 on one, but trust me, if you look for them, you'll be able to find bargains on Android. No wonder it's getting, we want an Amazon Fire, not an Android Fire. There we go, the very first one, $49.99, and I'll bet you if you watch that, you're going to find it on sale for $39 or even $29 sometimes. Scrolling down a little bit more, yeah, you can spend $200, but you can also get them for $50, and it might be a worthwhile investment to buy a couple of these once a quarter and give them out to people at the top of your leaderboard who have been at the top of your leaderboard for 3 months running and so forth. Now, everybody knows that we have these share buttons on our websites. I'll go ahead and show you here. Let's go to her opening page. And you see right here, we have these like and share buttons. Now, if you don't ask your crew members, if you don't ask the members of your committee to use these share buttons, they won't consider using them. So do ask. You know what? I would actually cross my arms and tap my foot and, you know, let them know that I really expect them to use these social media buttons. If you encourage their use, they will get used, and we've proven that in several counties. Expect people to use them, reward them when they do, and if they build it, if you build it, they will come. So please give consideration. If you're interested in building good digital, do a full court press. That's what I recommend to you. So we're coming to the end of our time. I'm going to stop and ask if there's any questions. Hang on just a second. Let me, we're going to go ahead and do a Q&A. Is there anybody that has a question that we can help with? Anybody at all? Now's the time. The floor is yours. No questions. What an audience. You know, my mom said when I was young, she said, the only stupid question that you can ask is the one that you don't ask. And so we really do encourage questions here. I'd also like you to remember that if you've got a question, the chances are about 80%, and we proved this on previous campaigns, that if you have a question, the chances are somebody else has that same question, and they're just afraid to ask it. So I don't care what the question is, please ask. Well, without questions, we're coming close to the end of our broadcast time. So I do want to thank everybody for being on the call. It's wonderful to be with you guys and have the ability to work with you and try to add something to the digital picture that you're producing there in your county or your small civic organization for the conservative effort under the digital umbrella. So thank you so much for being with us. I know you're leaders, and I appreciate the leadership that you provide out in the field. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and God bless everyone. Good night, everybody.